Okay, to start out, I want to say that if you're expecting this whole video to be about
they made Jax trans, they ruined the show,
then please, kindly, sit the fuck down and let me explain my points. This video is not about Jax being trans. In fact, this video's criticisms are directed at Jax not because he's trans. Now to start off with, I saw the pilot a few days after it came out, and I even own 2 Gen 1 Jax and Pomni plushies from when they were first announced. I even witnessed the live for episode 2, but I kinda moved on for a while. I checked out Spudsies and then the intermission episode, but that's about it. However, in the build-up with the finale, I watched the entire series from start to finish, and I thought it was okay. Episodes 1 through 2 are arguably the best in the entire series. 6 and 8 are the most meh episodes. Everything else I felt was filler or boring. The series felt over-padded in some areas, and some characters lost relevancies, or their roles were switched. Like Ragatha, for example. She was set out to be the voice of reason, the one who cared about the others, the only rational one. However, in episode 3, suddenly Kinger is the voice of reason. Suddenly he is the caring one, and Ragatha falls into the background. She becomes relevant again in episodes 5 through 6, where we learn she has a traumatic childhood, and it's never explored past that. And in 6, she has a weird, creepy obsession with Pomni as if they're trying to revive her previous character. And then, after being shot, she falls into the background once more. There are other characters I felt were irrelevant or annoying, like Gangle was annoying, Bubble was annoying, and the Sun became irrelevant. Now we get to the golden turd of the series. Jax. In the pilot, he's shown off to be a jackass. He's a knob to everyone he knows. He bullies Gangle and torments the others. In episode 2, we see signs of him being a deeper character. He gets bored of the adventure fairly quickly, and then sulks at the end like a fucking child. Deep my ass. It's fairly obvious to anyone that he is poorly written. He's an attempt at being a deep character with a sad backstory, yet it's shattered every time he pushes someone around, or has that one corny-ass speech near the end of episode 6. You can see why everyone can't stand him, except Pomni. Pomni gives him a chance, and he belittles her, rants to her about being the funny one, and that he doesn't care about anyone, which he's right. Now on to episode 9. The anticipated smash hit win for indie animation, competing with the likes of Scary Movie and Toy Story 5. And it utterly falls flat on its face, the entire step of the way. We open with a variation of the theme song, except Pomni is added, replacing Kaufmo. Notice the absence of Kane, because, well, he was, deleted. Just like in Jax's Requiem, Jax takes all his anger out on Kinger, who made a mistake and deleted Kane. But to Jax, it's all his fault. And then he shoves Kinger, and when being called out, he deflects the blame to Kinger. Just like a toddler, he can't understand that Kinger made a mistake.
Brain scans. Scratch was trying to make a brain scanner. I didn't think it actually worked. We didn't know how to work with the files, and they were impossibly small, given what they were supposed to be. I saw a folder full of them when I was in Kane's code. So, I guess Kane found a way to get them working.
Jackson immediately turns to mock Zubul, which is great, because it proves even further how much of a scumbag he really is. Ragatha attempts to get Jax to stop, to which Jax brings up the fact that Ragatha was allegedly abused, using her mom as a way to hurt her. After Ragatha kneels over in tears, Pomni goes over to comfort her, which Jax then promptly leaves, fucking off somewhere. Where does he go? Well, anyways, Kinger leaves, which Pomni follows. They have a conversation, and Pomni references episode 3. And then we get an emotional song sequence.
Here's our generic song. It sounds like hundreds of other songs. Things are always nice in this song. That's why no one remembers it. Generic song, generic song. Some jackass wrote this in his sleep. Generic song, generic songs. It shuts up your kids so you can't complain.
After this, Pomni follows Jax, and we get to the moment we've all been waiting for. Jax abstracts, and everyone's hiding from him. Hooray, the witch is dead. Except his death isn't sad. If anything, it's predictable. I'm sure everyone guessed either Jax or Zubul would abstract at some point. It's an obvious factoid that people ignored when seeing the finale in theaters. Everybody left, feeling that Jax abstracting was shocking, even though it was clear from the start he would be the next and last abstraction in the circus. Anyways, back to the film. So, Pomni travels into Jax's mind and finds herself in a corridor full of doors, each one of them with Jax's ugly mug on them, British teeth and all. We see a fantasy where Ragatha abstracts, and when Pomni checks on him, he chooses violence! He strangles Pomni! The character we're meant to feel bad for, ladies and gentlemen.
What? We can't die from oxygen deprivation, remember?
So anyways, after the woman beater fantasy, we see another fantasy where Zubul abstracts. Gangle attempts to arrange their funeral and... okay, I hate both of these characters. Gangle mostly because of her whiny voice, and Jax for the fact that his fantasy is about grooming Gangle. Yeah, hooray, Jax is a groomer now. He's emotionally manipulating Gangle into falling in love with him. Hooray!
What are you all doing? Get back to work!
We then see a Looney Tunes callback where instead, Gangle is dead, and Zubul comes after Jax, which then leads into a Wile E. Coyote style reference where Zubul plummets to the bottom of a cliff. How many angsty, edgy teenagers got that reference? Not that many, probably. Now we get a moment where all three of the Jaxes from the previous scenes are playing poker at a table with one at the piano. Surprise, surprise! That Jax is being abused! Talk about self-deprecation. Anyways, Pomni Thanos snaps the Jaxes out of existence and notices the abused one is bound to the piano. After she receives the key, he turns to ash as well. Somebody turn that bunny's ashes into milkshake like Cartman. Anyways, we gotta see flashbacks of Jax when he first arrived, and his interactions with Ribbit and the other circus members. And great, we gotta see the abstracted characters before they abstracted, and it's awesome. Jax makes fast friends with Ribbit and Kaufmo, even joining them in getting hot chocolate from the digital cafe. Ribbit and Jax become close, and the two have a personal conversation in Ribbit's room, where Jax reveals his dad left and that he presumably killed his mom. Wow, woman beater and serial killer on the same checklist. Jax hit the gold mine. When Kaufmo knocks, Jax storms out of the room and her relationship with Ribbit changes. He becomes distant, he becomes an asshole, even turning Kaufmo against Ribbit, which eventually results in her and his abstraction. Back to reality. Jax finally admits he's an asshole and we see him in various outfits. Pomni stupidly attempts to comfort him, which results in the viral moment. You know, where we see flashbacks to the previous episodes and moments where he was a dickhead.
Woody, Toy Story, Buzz Lightyear, Jesse, Rex, Forky and Slinky, Mr. Potato Head, I love it. Ham and Bo Peep.
Zubul then yanks Pomni away, dragging her back to the main group, and then they imprison Jax's ass forever. End of film. Okay, Kane regrets what he did, he rips Bubble from his head, tells the circus members their real identities/stories, and they all live happily ever after. Oh yeah, and Zubul and Gangle Hooray for them, and hooray for the movie being over. Now, Digital Circus itself was an okay series, but the biggest fault was Jax himself. Jax is a liar, a narcissist, a bully, and a massive two-faced snake, who I'd argue is the most poorly written character in any series ever. Now for the biggest controversy to come from this. Jax being trans. It's no surprise that it's become canon. Goose had an affinity for putting him in feminine outfits. Everyone should have really seen this coming in the grand scheme of things, and personally, her being transgender has nothing to do with him being a bad character. I feel he could have been handled better. Jax, as a character, could have worked, but she just didn't, and it sucks. I'm glad people can see themselves in this character, and this isn't anything against Michael either. Dude was just doing his job. And he's good at it. Digital Circus is now 2 years old, and the series had a decent run, full of bumps and rocks, but it was decent. And now it's time for me to shelve the series and move on. Thank you all for watching.
And of course they make Pomni Labubu's, for fuck's sake!